And we have a very special guest this morning. We are going to be bringing in Coyotes General Manager Bill Armstrong. So let's welcome him in.
What do you think of that, Bill?
That's the best.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, that's going to be everywhere on social media. You guys left that part out when I said good morning off the air.
We got to get that T-shirt made, I think.
Oh, God, that's great.
You ever see that cartoon, Bob the Builder?
Yes, I've seen it many times with my kids when they were younger. So, yeah.
Can he fix it? Yes, he can.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great way to start the morning off.
Well, Bill, thanks for doing this in the midst of a crazy schedule. Your schedule is always crazy, but it's the start of the NHL season this week, so I imagine things are ramping up even more. Just first, let me start with that, actually. Let me ask you how excited you are to just finally get this thing going after all the work you did this offseason.
Yeah, it is exciting because we have a totally new team for the most part, and just getting everybody settled. The one thing that was we had all these players coming in, and now we have 23 little kids added to the wives' room. So there's a lot of things that go beyond the beyond the scope of just the NHL team you see on the ice. So, but it's a good feel around here. People are excited about the season. We've rebuilt the entire organization from behind the scenes, and also up front. On the ice, we've changed a lot, even with our coach. So it's an exciting time for us, and looking forward to getting going here.
Did Doug Armstrong prepare you for the daycare aspect of your job?
Doug is a great manager, and he did. He's always given me great advice, in the good times and in the bad times. But there's a little. I think you scream out a couple times around here. When do I get to do hockey during the day? Because there's so many Zoom meetings and everything, and so it's there's some perks of the job, but there's some negative too.
All right, let's get down to business because I know you're on a tight schedule. What were your main takeaways from that 5-1 preseason, and do those results mean anything for the regular season, Bill?
It does mean something. It means, if you watched our team play, I don't think we're overly talented. I don't think we're winning games 8-1. But one of our talents that we have is that we're very competitive. We're competitive on every puck, every shift, every minute of that game. We are competitive, and our team plays with some life. They get some fire. There's a hungry hockey club on that ice. So that's what we take away. Those are the positives, and it was exciting to watch in preseason.
This organization is embarking on a rebuild. So how will you measure success this season?
It's a great question. For us, it's if we just take it game by game and we really worry about the process. And we've rebuilt the Coyotes from behind the scenes. So from our nutrition, to our sports science, to our weight room, just making sure all our avenues are perfect. Every process and every department in the Coyotes is working to perfect their process. And if we just concentrate on that and keep trying to get better every single day, good things will happen. And for us, our message for the players is to be competitive, show up every day trying to get better and compete.
Bill, as you just mentioned, this is a hungry team. There are a lot of guys on this roster with plenty to prove for different reasons. You've got the veterans on the one-year deals that are looking to prolong their careers. You've got that middle core trying to grab a larger role. You've got guys trying to grab roster spots. I don't mean to put you on the spot but with what this organization hopes to accomplish in the 2022 draft and maybe even in the next one, what if this team overachieves? How do you handle all that?
Well, it's a great question. I think you have to look at it a couple different ways. You never know. When you assemble a team, sometimes there's extra synergy and there's extra hunger, and you overachieve. Just in a normal year, I think we're backed up in the sense that we have 8 picks in the first 2 rounds, so the picks aren't going anywhere. They're there. We have to, as management, and we have to provide. As an organization, we have to provide a place where our players can compete and have that free will to succeed and have success. And we're never going to hold them back from that. So I think we're in a good spot right now. Games are going to be a grind for us. And I like what I saw earlier with our competitiveness and how we played.
So there were a lot of players on waivers on Sunday. Did anyone intrigue you, or are you still feeling content with the current roster?
Yeah, waivers are always exciting, to see how they, teams value their players. So but there's only so much room and so much money you can spend. So you really, have to find the guy that you really like out of there in one of your needs. And sometimes you get in, you're thinking, during the summer, if that guy gets on waivers, we're going to claim him. And then all of a sudden somebody on your team plays really well and steps up and you're like, okay, we don't need him anymore. So you're only allowed so many roster spots. So there's some exciting players, but none were a good fit for us at this point that would make us a better team.
Just following up on that question, Bill, how are you feeling about your goaltending situation now after what you saw in the preseason from Hutton, Vejmelka, and even Koshinash?
Yeah, really, really good. I thought Vejmelka just came in and just played so solid. He was so big, and the game settled down for him really, really quickly. And that's not easy to do with your European goaltender, but his size and how he plays within our system, he beat Corner out for a spot just by his play. And hats off to him. Hutton came in, a little bit of a slow start in the terms of, just being able to get on the ice. He had an injury during the summer, but I can say he dug in and he worked his butt off to be ready, and he played great hockey. So we're excited about that fact. And I think, in any team, when your goaltending is really good, it gives you a chance to win every night. So we're hoping that they're going to play to that level that we've seen in the preseason.
You've got 27 guys left on your roster, at least as of Sunday, which is
Yeah.
4 over the opening day max with the roster deadline fast approaching. Some of that, as you've said in the past, is due to health of guys. But a couple questions related to that. Do you have any better sense of whether Phil Kessel will be ready for the season opener?
At this point, he is really trending that he's going to make that opening day game for us. And our first game, I think he's got he's been looking really, really good lately. So we're just in the process of fine tuning that and making sure he's cleared for the doctors, and we'll know in the next couple of days.
Okay, a couple other players to ask about: Barrett Hayton and Victor Soderstrom, who have stuck around. Just curious how this has played out, in your opinion, for them in camp, what they've shown you, and if you have any, finality on what you're going to do with them yet.
Yeah, unfortunately, Barrett came in. He was in great shape, and you could see the hunger. He went home and trained. I always find as a manager, you find out what your young guys are made of after they go back after their first season, because now they know the standard of the NHL and pro hockey. So he came back. He worked so hard in the summer, improved his skating, his strength. Unfortunately, he got injured, so he never really got a chance yet. And we've got some tough decision to make on him today. But also, Soderstrom has played really, really well. He's come in and he's earned himself a spot on the roster at this point. And he's someone that coaches asked him to dig in and play with some more grit. And he's responded. He's really embraced the system that he's playing, and he looks at times like he's about 10 years older than he is, just in his maturity with his puck decisions.
So the team is opening the season on the road in Columbus. We talked a little bit before we went live just about the amount of travel that the team's going to have this season. You used to be a scout, so you've probably racked up a lot of miles over the years. Do you still enjoy traveling, or do you dread it? Do you have favorite spots that you've been to, cities, restaurants, etc.?
There are times when you travel. There's two different travels. Right? Okay. There's the normal one where you're on normal airplanes, and sometimes you get stuck in a middle seat beside someone that didn't smell that well, and the other was sick, and you were traveling back from Europe, and it was just like the longest flight of your life. You know what I mean? You could only get up and walk around the airplane so many times. So those are the dreaded ones. And then some of the travel on those flights, you could write movies on the connections that you take. We once took a cruise ship to a game. A true story. We had to call our ownership and say, listen, the only way to get there is through a cruise ship from Sweden to Latvia. And they trusted us enough, and we sent them some pictures from the cruise ship when we landed. So it is a true story. But yeah, some of the travel that you experience as a scout, like, you can't make that up, some of the stuff that happens. So, but when you're traveling with the NHL team, you're on a chartered plane. And it's travel. It's hard because those guys have to play the next day at times. But there is a certain, luxury that when you get on there and they say, "Oh, Mr. Armstrong, here are your salt and vinegar chips and your coffee that you like, and here's your pillow." So it's I have a lot of leg room, so there's some really good perks to the job. But with us being in the Central, we're going to log a lot of air miles, and we have to manage them well with the player. Recovery these days is so huge. Whether you stay over, whether you get in early, whatever it takes to make sure that there are no excuses. That's what we really want. We want to create an organization off the ice with no excuses. So, we've got nutritionists on the plane. We got guys that, they've got all these suits that go on the players, and pumps up and gets their blood flowing. And we've got it all for them. So we try to make a no excuse organization and get them the best travel and the best food and whatever we can do to put them at their best.
We're going to have to get more on the cruise ship anecdote at some point down the road. Have you purchased your Tyson Nash neck pillow yet for the flights? Or?
No. I see he didn't get to travel last year, but I'm looking forward to seeing that.
It's a sight. Yeah, he'll walk on with the flight with it. So, speaking of scouting, with 8 draft picks, as you mentioned, already slated for the first 2 rounds of the 2022 NHL draft, how does that alter the approach and the opportunity for your scouting staff, knowing what's already in place for them?
Well, if you're a scout, you normally, you have excitement that you're back in the rinks and you're looking for some players, but you don't really understand where, how many picks you're going to have in those rounds, and where is that going to occur. For us, our scouts that are walking into the rink right now, they know. They're like, listen, we got 3 picks in the first round. So they're like, this guy's going to go in this part of the round. There's an excitement for us. And we've been able to be dialed in already on the scouting events that have happened. So we have an advantage that comes with knowing that you've got that amount of picks. And, with our coverage, we've got a lot of different options with our coverage. We got 2 head guys, but then also we've got guys that are, can go in there and do some cross-checking. The Larry Plows of the world that have been involved in scouting for over 30 years, and Alan Heppel was a head scout for Colorado. So we've got some options to make the coverage because of the amount of picks that we have in the important rounds. We've got enough scouts to cover the amount of picks we have.
I know that was a concerted effort for you when you came in to beef up this scouting staff. You really put a lot of resources into that with, as you've mentioned, the support of the organization. Yeah. Was that simply, you had been in that arena for so long, you understood the importance, or did you also take a look at the Coyotes' history? Did those 2 things come together when you assessed what this organization needed?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Most of the teams that fail on the rebuild, or they fail, and the GM gets ousted and they start again, is because of scouting. So I've seen that firsthand from being on the just out in the field and working, alongside with teams that just didn't have great scouts, and they wondered why that had happened. The investment for me has always been about the scouts. It's the first thing that I did when I took the job. I reached out and figured out a way that we could grab 2 great head scouts, So for me, that was the first part, and they've done a great job in building out the staff. And I feel a great comfort because when you're there as a GM, you can help guide, and that's what I learned when I worked with Doug Armstrong. But the biggest thing is it's their call for the most part. They're on the road studying the players. So I'm happy that we have the picks this year. We've had our staff together for a full year last year, so it gives us a chance to get our synergy and get used to everybody. And now we've got a great chance. It's probably, as I always say to the scouting staff, most important draft in the history of the Coyotes.
It's so true. Well, Bill, we know that you're super busy, so we thank you so much for joining us this morning, and hopefully we'll be able to connect with you hopefully more than once this season. But best of luck going forward, and best of luck this week in Columbus as well, and Buffalo.
Well, thanks very much for having me on. It was a pleasure.
All right, Bill, thanks. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.